What's up, makeup minions? I'm Witte from Witte Artistry, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna teach you how to become an octopus human hybrid. Let's go! This whole video is sponsored by MŌDA brushes, which I'm really excited about. I've been using them for years. They're super bright, colorful, high quality. And thank you, MŌDA, for sponsoring all these brushes that you see in this video. So with the ice cream foundation brush, I am going to be stippling on whites and pinks and purples to create the model texture that octopus have on their skin. Then with a pro pointed liner brush, I'm going to be drawing in the suction cups, at least like the generic base and disc of the suction cups, with a purpley, pinky white color. Just draw those circles in. And we're going to be doing this all the way down the arm, and I thought it would be cool if the hand looks sort of like alien-esque, like a hybrid between an octopus and a human, where they almost have like tentacles on the hands, but it's kind of like the palms of the creature. So then with a totally electric fine liner brush, I am creating the detail, or at least the start of the detail, there's a lot of detail in this one, of the shadows of the suction cups. So if you look at an octopus tentacle, the suction cups are raised and they have like a little hole in the center, and they're almost like a cylindrical column that creates a shadow in the center. So I'm using purple to emulate that and just stipple all around the center just to darken up the area. Also, I want to say thank you so much, MŌDA, for choosing me to be the featured MŌDA Maven of October. It is a huge honor. I love your guys' brushes, so thank you very much. And now we are adding in some white back into the purples. I did overdo it a little bit with the darkness, but like I said, this is an octopus. They have a totally random color scheme, and it changes actually for their camouflage. Just keep stipple, stipple, stipple. We're gonna be going back and forth between purples, blues, pinks, purples, and whites, and then also a wet brush, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm dabbing the purples and taking back some of the color and still leaving some behind with that wet brush. This entire time I am using water activated body paint, which the more water you add, the more watery it is. Now we're moving on to the electric detail brush to create a stippling texture in the center of the arm. This I'm adding back in some splotches, some texture. I'm taking away some of the purple as well. This is kind of like my fur, like the way that I paint fur. You lay a color, you remove a little bit of the color, you create a slightly variant of the color, and then you put it on top of each other. Using the brow part of this brush, I am going to create little stipple texture all over the center of my hand. So I laid out where the tentacles are going to be on the hand in dark purple, and then with a dark purple blue, I am using that end of the brush just to create texture. Then with the line brush, I am going to do the same thing on the hand. Then outline the edges of those tentacles with a darker purple, and then darken the webbing as well. I was thinking of making like the parts in between my fingers sort of like fins, which I ended up changing later because I didn't really like the look of it, but I'm laying out the colors now. I wanted the edges of the hands to be super light where the palm becomes the tentacles, just so the tentacles would really stand out. With a pointed liner brush, dun, 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 I am going to be adding more highlights to the tentacles, or not the tentacles, the suction cups themselves. So on the edges of these suction cups discs and onto the skin, I am creating little dots with white and just doing that over and over and over again. Now I'm going to add in some dark purple onto the flesh again. This is a layering game. Basically, it sort of looks like a little galaxy, like a pink little purple little galaxy on your skin. Add some layers, remove some layers, add some layers, remove some layers, and then go back over it again with more stark colors. So now I'm back to that fine brush using white to create highlights onto the suction cups. The little suckers do have they're raised along the outside, and they dip down like a bowl into a dark little donut ring in the center. So I am using the white to create the highlights around the edges of the discs. And now I am using that brush to add some purple back into the center so we can get the depth of those suckers. I highly recommend whenever you're painting something from life or just even your imagination like this is, is that you always look up a reference photo or a couple, so you have a basis for what colors we want to use and what it's supposed to look like in the end. I always do a sketch as well. As you can see, my sketchbook's out this entire time. I had drawn this hand out to a T a bit ago, and I had planned this out extensively. Octopus have a lot of details, and they can be almost like any color you want, so make sure you have good reference photos. Back in with that white, I'm creating even more stark highlights on the top of these suckers. And then once I've sort of blended out those rings, I add another stark line on the edges of these suckers, which makes them look even more realistic. Because in real life, when something has a highlight, unless if it's metallic, it usually doesn't have a stark highlight that just abruptly ends. So just blend it in a little bit. All right, now I'm outlining the edges of the purple tentacles with dark purple. This is to create further distinction between the palms of the hands, where the pink is, and then where the tentacles are going to be. So now I'm adding dark purple into the crevices of the hand tentacles. It sounds so weird. Add it into the crevices of the hand tentacles and add little squiggles, and the little squiggles are going to add extra texture. I wanted the hand to look really creepy and just like really bold. Back in with that detail brush, we're adding some more squiggles, some more dots, and I wanted to add in more blue tones. I went back and I added more blue tones in the arm as well, but I really wanted a lot on the hand. I wanted there to be lots of contrast, lots of color, but still have the mottled, squishy look that an octopus does. So I'm just adding that around the edges of all of my finger tentacles and then blending it towards the center. Use that electric crease brush. Again, we're going to be creating more texture on top of the tentacles. I wanted every part of this look to have the same tonal quality. Octopi and skin tones, although they vary as they go across the body of an animal or a human, they all have the same color palette. So I wanted to make sure I was incorporating the pinks and the whites, just like I have on my forearm, but into the hand tentacles as well. So now I'm using white body paint to add stark highlights onto the centers of those tentacles and blend them out so they look more bulbous, for lack of a better word. Now we're adding the itsy bitsy little suckers onto the fingers, and oh my gosh, this was meticulous. So on the thumb, I was doing it manually one by one, and then I had a good idea to use this electric fine liner brush end to create like these little stamps of like little Cheerios is what I was going for. Like towards the center of the hand, the suckers got big enough that I could use like a little stamp. If you dunked it in white and then pushed it in the skin and twisted it, it would create a negative space in the center and like a little ring that was like perfect for tentacles. So I did that on all of the fingers, and I'm pretty proud that I came up with that on the spot, but it worked pretty well. Once you get up to the fingers though, they look too big if you keep it going. So I ended up switching back to the point of the brush and just filling in all the little tiny guys. So these suckers actually sort of alternate. They're not just directly across from each other. They're kind of staggered. So keep that in mind. It's how you will create a more realistic octopus painting that most people don't really notice. I've looked up a lot of like really impressive drawings and stuff, and that seems to be the one detail people tend to forget. Now I'm adding in purple into the center of these little suction cups just to, you know, imitate real ones, bring back the depth that the ones on the arms do. Add some more modeling, a little more texture. While we're at it, everybody wants a textured octopus. And this is when my brain was really starting to freak out because my fingers look so long. All right, with the electric crease brush, we're gonna add texture on the edges of the fingers. So this is where I wanted to brighten up the look. So I added more white and more pinks just along the edge of the hand tentacles. I wanted to bring attention to the hand tentacles and have separation from the rest of the flesh. And then I blended it out on the edges of my fingers so I had some ability to move my hand around without it looking like, oh hey, the painting ends and now it's just, you know, human. So I fixed that. Then I added more stippling, because you can't have enough stippling, just in the webs of my fingers and the final touches all over my hand. Add some last minute highlights, just on the rings, because octopuses are wet. And ta-da! You are done. Thank you so much, MŌDA, for sponsoring this video. Click the links in the description to get discounts and get you guys some brushes. Happy Halloween. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this video. This turned out way different than I had planned or anticipated. It's the exact same design. Here's the original sketch. But I was originally going to make it a totally different color scheme, but instead I turned it into like a Trix yogurt kind of feel. I like it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And also, huge shout out to my wonderful Patreon sponsors. You guys are seriously amazing. Thank you for keeping my dreams going. Thank you for helping me pay rent. Thank you for helping me eat and afford all of this makeup and this camera equipment and just like all the things. You guys are seriously amazing. I'm going to go film a makeup removal because it is so hard to not use your hand. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.